Jai Sri Krishna. In the last two talks, mention has been made of Atma having the status of a guest in the gross body, also called the Sthul body. The Sthul body is the body which develops from fetus. There is another body which Atma has, and it is called the subtle body. So, what is the difference between the two? Surendranath Das Gupta has written the history of Indian philosophy. In it, he has written about the fetus and the subtle body. This comes under Atharvaveda. I will use his writing here to explain and get an understanding. The human body is regarded by Charak, whose time is 900 BCE to 600 BCE. There is Charak Sanhita, as a modification of the five elements, which are ether, air, fire, water, and earth. So when these five elements are modified in such a way that it results in the body. It is also the seat of consciousness. The body is formed with the union of male reproductive fluids and the blood, which is called Shronita, of the mother. The male fluids which pass through the ovary is constituted of equal parts of air, fire, water, and earth, and has no akash, no ether in it. The union of the male fluids and the Shronita can produce fetus only when the Atma, with its subtle body constituted of air, fire, water, and earth, and Man, the mind, the organ which is involved in the perception and thought, becomes connected with it by means of karma. That clear? So, until and unless Atma or the Jeev gets within the subtle body, gets connected to the union of the male and the female fluids. And how did it gets connected? Through the karma. Whose karma? The karma of the Jeev who is supposed to get this body. So, and it should also have Man with it. So Jeev in subtle body along with the Man. When you say Man, that has Man, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar, everything in there, and the senses. So the whole thing, until and unless that Atma in such a fashion comes in contact with the union of the two fluids, there cannot be fetus. Fetus cannot develop. It will not happen. So why does fetus develop? It, like when you look at the birds, they make little nest to lay their eggs in, right? So there's already the eggs are coming in, that's why the bird makes the nest. Same way, Atma is coming in, so the Devata behind all this gets the whole process going and start to create fetus in which the Jeev can come in. The four elements constituting the subtle body of the Atma, being the general cause of all production, do not contribute to the essential body features of the child. So the four elements, which are the four elements? Except from, besides the Akash or ether, there is fire, water, earth, and air. They themselves cannot produce. They have nothing to do, no contribution to the features of the child. The elements that contribute to the general features are mother's part, the blood, Shronita, the father's part, the male fluid, the karma of each individual, the part played by assimilated food juice by the mother need not be counted as separately. It is part of the mother's contribution. That means whatever she eats, that makes a difference. And by the karma of the individual. So these are the contributing factors which define the features of the child. The mental traits, so that these are physical traits. Now the mental traits of the child. Mental traits are determined by the state of mind of the individual in the previous birth. Thus, if the previous state of life was that of God or Devata or Devi life, the mind of the child will be pure and vigorous. Whereas if it was that of an animal, it will be impure and dull. When the man dies, his soul or jeev, together with his subtle body, composed of the four elements, air, fire, water and earth, in a subtle state, along with mana, passes invisibly into the particular womb on account of the karma. Note here, Akash is not mentioned because Akash or the ether is everywhere. It does not move. What moves here is these four elements move. And upon entering the particular womb, when it comes in connection with the combined fluids of father and mother, the fetus begins to develop. The fluids of father and mother can, however, operate as a cause of production of the body only when they come into connection with the subtle body transferred from the previous body of a dying being. It is to be understood here that Swabhav, or the nature of every person, is thus born with his body. That's the mental trait. It develops, is born with the body. And what kind of state the child comes into be? His mental state? Whatever was his last thought. What was the most preponderance of his mental state? If his mental state was more towards hinsa, that's the kind of nature the child will be. And the parents will be selected to be same with the same trait. Same way, if the child or the dying person, his mental makeup at the time of death is such that he is very, very pious, very gentle, nice person, religious person, then the child in the next generation, he will come up as a very pure-minded person. And he will be born in a family of the parents who will be similar kind. So this is the Swabhav. Swabhav means not just the nature. Swabhav here is all the devatas which are working behind the scene for the newborn. When we come in here, we have certain Swabhav, nature. It's not something magic. It's the devatas working in there that gives us the Swabhav, the nature, the way we act, the way we behave. And that like I said, that is defined from what we were in our past life. So it continues going on and on. So that means if we want to improve ourselves, then we must change in the present life so that next time we are not in the same fix. The Swabhav cannot be changed. Only thing one can do is to attenuate it by acquiring the Gyan. According to Charak's account, it is said that the Jeev comes into contact with its subtle elemental body, which is also called Bhutatma. The materials of the developing fetus are Agni, Som, Sattva, Raj and Tam, the five senses and the Bhutatma. So the developing fetus has Agni, Som, three gunas, Sattva, Raj and Tam, senses and Bhutatma, the subtle body. All these contribute to the life of the fetus and are called Pran, or the life of the fetus. The Agni or fire spoken of here is the heat. The heat power which manifests itself in the fivefold functioning of digestion, brightening of the skin, the faculty of vision, coloration of the blood, intellectual operation, and the heat operation involved in the formation and work of the different constituent elements, dhatu, such as chyle, blood, etc. The som is the root power for all watery elements like mucus and like the senses of taste. Vayu represents the fivefold function of the prans. Sat, Raj and Tam refer to man. So the mind organ, which is the product of the combined evolution. So what he's saying here, our mind has evolved over time from life to life. It's changed. And what functions in mind is nothing but the three gunas, Sat, Raj or Tam. If person is sattvic, his mind will have more sattva in it. If he has got his tamasi, he'll have preponderance of tamas. So that is the subhav. So where the Sat, Raj and Tam come from? They come from those devatas. Devatas are responsible for these gunas. So subhav means the devata, Shakti, the power of the devata which is acting in our man, our mind. That is the subhav. And that is born with us. As we are born in this world, it comes with us. And Charak has explained how does it happen. And you cannot change the subhav. Bhagavan Krishna says that you cannot change the subhav. That's why he says, do your karma staying in your subhav. Don't copy anybody, try to copy anybody. Do your karma staying in your subhav. That's what he was telling Arjun, that Arjun, your subhav is to fight, not to be sannyasi. So do your karma in this war by fighting the war. The art of doing a karma is more important. So I think this makes a little clear how we come in this world and what is behind our subhav. The five senses contribute to the life by their cognitive function. From this it is clear that without Atma, the fetus cannot exist. It will not even get started. The Atma and the subtle body, the Bhutatma, move invisibly from one gross body to another, depending on the past life. All this is done by Devatas. The Devata which prepares the body does so based upon the karma phal, is to be the karma phal which has to be administered. And when it is to be done, Devata knows when and how and what has to be done. One of the most important understanding is whatever is the state of our mind, man, that defines what will be the next life like. This makes that much more important to do such karma which will build Daivi, the divine property in us instead of demonical or asuri properties. This happens only when we try to associate and follow the divine. We cannot become divine by following and associating with devilish property people who are not very nice. Because whatever the Jeev is such that you put him with the divine, he can become divine. If Jeev goes with the devil, he becomes a devil. There is no, Jeev has nothing of his own. One central trait of the divine is asang. Live in this body as a guest and know that a day will come when we will have to vacate this body. The body is made especially for the experience of the Atma. That is why it disintegrates following the departure of Atma from it. It's made just for that duration, for that particular Atma, and we've seen how it is done. We have seen that acquiring the Jnana and engaging in the Karma Yoga, one who becomes Yukt Atma, and that such a person does. What does person do? In nutshell, Yukt Atma is one who has become Sakshi. He's not attached to anything. He's Sakshi. He's just seeing for things for what they are, not putting his 2 cents worth in it. Bhagavan Sri Chakradhar has defined Sakshi as one who does not do himself, as well as does not ask others for the action. Here the Yukt Atma, while performing action, does not have his mind and buddhi in it. We have seen that before also. When the mind and buddhi comes into action, it becomes sin, it becomes pap karma. But Yukt Atma, does not put his mind and his buddhi into any karma. That way he is not attached to it. The only way you attach to something is through your mind and buddhi. Thus he is not doing anything. The body and devata in it, they are the one who are doing the karma. Furthermore, he does not order his senses to do something on his behalf either. An example will be hearing or taste of the food that he partakes. Having no like or dislike in these cases, he remains free. It is the sense of hearing and the taste which are hearing and tasting. It's not him. In other words, the karma of the Yukt Atma turns into a karma. The karma becomes a karma. We saw in Shlok 13 that such a person stays in the Anand of Parmeshwar Swarup. He is getting this Anand from Parmeshwar. Now we take the Shlok 14. The nature of the body is to perform karma, and it is true that it cannot exist without karma. The body cannot exist without karma. That's why Bhagavan Krishna says, karman nevadhikaraste. You have to do karma. Body cannot exist without karma. Why so? Because it was our karma which brought us into this world. So the karma continues. However, people continue doing karma in the sansar. The jnani lets the power of the nature instigate the karma and does not put his ego into it by keeping his mind and buddhi at bay. However, here are people who are unable. There are people who are unable to keep ego from getting involved and do karma for the fruit of the action. That's what they do karma, to get something out of it. Such people experience the pain, which is the result of faults of the karma. Every karma has some dosh, some fault. And if you associate with that karma by putting your mind and your intellect with it, you are party to that fault also. So the phal will be there and you will get pain, which is caused by the fault in that karma. When their pain becomes unbearable, they don't think about it, but they keep doing it. But when their pain becomes unbearable, what they say? They say, look, the Parmeshwar has given me this misery. What can I do? They blame Parmeshwar for their misery. This way people say that Parmeshwar is the cause of pleasure and pain. It is their ignorance. To put it straight, man should get the ego out of the picture. Otherwise, he should be ready to bear the pain which results from the faults of the karma. When the karma results in the pleasure, one says it is the result of my action. And when there is a pain, saying that it is being given by Parmeshwar, it is the delusion or the agyan of the person. Their gyan has been covered up by the agyan. That is why they say this. Bhagavan puts the record straight in the next shlok.
न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः न कर्मफलसंयोगं स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते.
Prabhu. Prabhu is for Parmeshwar. Na, nor lokas, in this lok, karma sanyogam, union with the fruit of action. So what Bhagavan is saying, na kartatva, na karmani. I don't take the doership. I have no doership in what's going on. Nor do I do anything. And in this shlok, the important part is swabhav. It is the key to understanding the meaning here. Bhagavan says that I, the Parmeshwar, neither determine the doership nor the action of man. And I do not create even the union of their karma and its fruit. See what he's saying? I don't instigate the doership in anybody. I do not tell them what to do. And I'm not involved in the fruit of action which they get. So, who determines all these? In all these, it is the nature that functions. Here the word Swabhav refers to Devata, the power of Parmeshwar. So it's the Devata which is doing all this, deciding and doing all this based on our karma. In chapter 4, Shlok 14, Bhagavan said, Namami karmani limpanti name karma phale spraha. Since I have no craving for the fruit of karma, I am not subject to the karma lep. Namami karmani limpanti. This tells us that if we crave for the fruit of action, we will get bound through the lap of the karma. That's the bondage. So unlike the belief in the Judeo-Christian religion, here, according to our karma lap, whatever swabhav we get, the devata which we are assigned takes us to the next life. We do believe in the rebirth. That is why we do not have the word in our culture which says goodbye. We say we will meet again. In the Judeo-Christian religion, they say this is one life we have. If we do good, we will be sent to heaven, otherwise to hell forever. When will this happen? This will happen according to them on the judgment day. Until then, the body is kept in the grave. Hindus believe that we are reborn based on our past karma. They put emphasis on the name rather than the body. To remember the ancestors, we do Shrimad, when we remember our ancestry by name. So Bhagavan says, Swabhavastu pravartate. All karma and the associated fruit, they are all done by and according to the swabhav which we are born with. Do not have attachment to whatever you are in this life. Otherwise, you will keep coming and going again and again. A mother has the quality called mamata, which is a godly quality, which helps her raise the child. She needs to know the limit of mamata. and should not get attached to it. Learn to give up. Do not cross the line which will cause attachment and bondage. In this day and age, people keep taking and not giving. Everybody wants something. Nobody wants to give anything. Only time they give when they have something they're going to get back. We are not learning tyag as to how to divest. So if we don't learn the tyag, how can we learn not to be attached? Therefore, what is our gyan is in the next slok. What kind of gyan we have, Bhagavan tells us in the next slok.
Nadatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu ajnane navrutam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha.
There are two types of karma. One is pap karma or the sin, and the other punya or virtuous karma. People may say that the virtual karma which we do, Paramatma we may not take the sin karma of ours, but he will definitely take our virtuous karma. Surely he will take my virtuous karma. That's what people believe. Bhagavan says, na datte kasya chittatma, that he takes neither anyone's sinful karmas nor chaiv sukritam vibhu, nor he partakes anyone's virtuous karma. He doesn't take anybody's karma. Say, it's your karma. Why do I want it? People think this way because it is their agyan, which has covered up their gyan. And from that only, all agyani get deluded into thinking this way. Now, what is the example? What example we can give? We do a lot of, suppose, punya. What is punya? That is also, people make up their own punya. This is punya. Helping somebody this way, that, whatever. But while you're doing that, person will say, this is good. Paramatma will accept it and I'll get something for it. Bhagavan says, I don't accept your punya or your pap. This is your pap, your punya. Devta will take care of it. I have nothing to do with it. So, why do we do punya and pap? Our sabhav, which we brought with us. That tells us, do this or do that. And that also tells us what is punya and what is pap. Whatever thinking we have, mental state, for one person, same thing can be punya, other person it could be pap. So this is very important thing to know. And why people don't understand? We don't understand because our gyan has been covered up by the agyan. We don't have gyan. Gyan puts everything straightforward. Neer, kshir, vivek. Water and milk, it separates out. There is no middle line in there. There is no middle ground. It's this or that. Who does administer their fruit? So Paramatma has nothing to do with them. Human gyan slowly gets filled with agyan. Suppose you learn some gyan and you don't follow it. What will happen? The gyan will go away. Agyan will take over, which is everywhere. So you have to be constantly working at it. And the agyan which causes attachment and delusion in him. And many times people may have the understanding, but when they are faced with the situation themselves, then the agyan or moh does surface. Where did it happen? is as happened to Arjun in Mahabharata. He was a knowledgeable person. He knew. But when it comes to fighting his own kins and his own teachers, his own people, moha did surface. Agyan did surface. So how can one overcome this? In the next, it comes in the next shloka.
ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानम् येषाम् नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवज्ञानम् प्रकाशयति तत्परम्.
But those whose that agyan has been destroyed, nashitam, through the tattva gyan of Paramatma. What is tattva gyan? Tattva gyan is what is the root of that, what everything is made up of, what is the tattva in it. Know it by tattva. That this man is standing here, his body is separate, his atma is separate. Body is made out of these 5 bhut and 3 gunas. It deteriorates, atma doesn't. This is tattva gyan, knowing the tattva. Gyan is revealed that by the Supreme. How? Like the darkness does not exist in light. When there is Gyan, Agyan is not there, cannot exist. Gyan doesn't know what Agyan is. Sun doesn't know what darkness is, does it? No. And that's why there is no darkness will exist when sun comes up. Lakshmi knows not what poverty is, what daridrata is. Lakshmi has no idea what daridrata is. Likewise, when there is Gyan, the Agyan cannot exist. That Gyan reveals the Supreme. What that Gyan does? It reveals the Supreme Parmeshwar. Then all that is born out of Agyan is destroyed. When the Gyan comes in, what it does? It reveals the Supreme Parmeshwar. And what happens then? Everything which is born out of a Gyan is destroyed. It cannot exist. What are these things? These are desire, attachment, and delusion. These are the primary 3 things which are born out of a Gyan. And as soon as the Gyan comes in, they are destroyed. Now we need to understand this. Earlier we read that following the Karma Yoga, one can arrive at the same state that a person following the path of Gyan does. The difference is, however, that the Jnani can accomplish this in less time, and the Karma Yogi, Bhagavan said, Anek Janma Sansiddhi. The Karma Yogi will take several lives to achieve that. Takes several lives during which he accumulates gunas. What gunas? Ishwar gun. Which guns are these? Daivi gun. So you cannot accumulate all the gunas in one life. It takes many lives. But you got to get started on doing it. These then become part of him. They don't go away. He does this while he is a householder. Then one day, Parmeshwar infuses in him the power of Gyan. Why Parmeshwar does that? This is his kripa. Parmeshwar wants everyone to get Gyan and get moksha. It's his kripa or mercy. The kripa also includes daya, maya and karuna. All these things come under kripa. While this person was doing work for Parmeshwar in Karma Yoga, while practicing the Karma Yoga, Parmeshwar gave something to him. Whatever he did, Parmeshwar gave him the fruit of it. However, Parmeshwar is not satisfied by just giving what he did. And he wants to give more. You see? Devata would not do that. Devata only give not even give what you earned. Parmeshwar, you do little bit, he gives a lot, and he thinks he needs to give more to this individual. That is his kripa. And this is what is called kanav. This comes under daya. Whatever karma we do for Parmeshwar, there is always that residual daya called kanav in it. And that accumulates. It is this kanav through which we keep receiving more and more from Parmeshwar. We get more than what we really do. That's why there is saying, I am doing better than I deserve. Now, how we can explain that? There is an example of Sudama. When Sudama came to visit Sri Krishna in Dwarika and offered puffed rice to Bhagwan, Bhagwan took 3 handfuls and gave Sudama 3 loaves. And then Rukmini stopped him. Now the poet describes this. So on this the poet says that Bhagwan tells Rukmini the following. Tajke sab kaam vishuddh mana hum rodhit avat jo sajni. Your sajni, Bhagwan saying for Rukmini. फल फूल से रीझ करूं उसके, समझूं सततम अपने को ऋणी. ऋण से विनिवृत्त की क्या दशा, कुछ ब्याज भी मैं तो चुका न सकूं. कृतकृत रहूं उसके नित ही, उपकार का बोझ उठा न सकूं. That is how Paramatma feels about us. So Bhagavan tells Rukmani that whosoever comes to me with pure mind, not just like that, nobody without a pure mind will even think about Paramatma, much less going to him. With pure mind, leaving all worldly actions. What does he bring to me? What he brings for me? He brings his reverence, his innermost feelings. And those feelings are for me only. In what form? He brings in the form of fruit and flowers. He says, accepting this feeling, I become indebted to him. How can I pay off the debt? I cannot even pay the interest on it. I gave him the phal, which Bhagavan gave 3 lok. Even then I feel that I have not given enough. I want to give more. This is what Kanav is. Every day I am grateful to him, Bhagavan says. I cannot carry the load of his favor. So in Parameshwar Bhakti, after giving the phal, there remains some daya called Kanav, which carries into next life where we can get Gyan. In chapter 2, Bhagavan has said, Svalp mapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even little of this karma yoga protects from the great bhaya. What is the bhaya? This is the cycle of birth and death. While practicing the karma yoga, one day Parameshwar gives Gyan. With it, he sees Paramatma. With the Gyan, person sees Paramatma. And he starts to remove himself from all of this sansar. With this Gyan, his Agyan is destroyed, and then he goes on to the next level. The next level of Gyan is called Aparoksh Gyan. Now he sees Parameshwar. Now what he becomes in this Gyan is what Bhagavan tells in next slok.
Tadbuddhayastadaatmanah tannishthaastatparayanaah gacchante punaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaah.
Tadatmanam, whose mind is that, Jnana Nirdhut, whose impurities, Tad Buddhya, whose buddhi is that, Kalmasha, have been washed off by Jnana, Tannishtha, those who are steadfast in that, such apunaravrti, having achieved Paramgati, do not return to this sansar. So now Bhagavan says that his buddhi will be in what? In tat. Tat, word tat is used for Paramatma. So his buddhi will be established in Parameshwar. And what he does then? Tadatmana. He starts to know the Paramatma, the tat, as his Atma. He wants to become as pure as Paramatma. Now visualize this. He sees Paramatma right in front of him. And Paramatma is pure, bright, no impurities. Shuddh, Buddh. And he looks at himself also, same time. He's got the power to look at himself through that Gyan. And he sees all the kalmash he has accumulated over many, many lives. And then a desire starts in him. I want to be like that. I want to clean myself up. Because he sees Paramatma in front of him. That's Aparokshjnani. Tannishtha, having seen Paramatma, his faith is only in Paramatma and Tatparayana. He always is in bhakti of Paramatma then. He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't need to do anything. Gachanti apunaravrti. He attains Paramgati and does not return to sansar again. With this Gyan, he sees all his karma, and with the power of Gyan, he washes away the karma lep. He then is free from the cycle of birth and death. Bhagavan is telling this to Arjun. Then what happens? After this all happened, what will happen then to him? Something miraculous happens then. And he gets a special buddhi. And this Bhagavan is telling in the next slok.
Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shuni chaiva shvapake cha pandita samadarshinaha.
Vidya vinaya sampanne. Endowed with the learning, the vidya and humility. What happens to him? He becomes samadarshina. He looks at every living being as the same. He may be a Brahman, a person who cooks and eats dog, Whether it is a cow or elephant or a dog, he looks at everyone as same. Now what does this mean? With the power of Proksh Gyan, he sees Swarup of Jeev. He can see himself, he can see others also. The Jeev or the Atma, what we call Atma, in everyone. Because he sees Paramatma, and that power is given by Paramatma which helps him see everything. And that Jeev which has pervaded each one, everyone's body is pervaded by the Jeev. He sees Jeev Sarup in all living beings as same. We see the differences ourselves. We cannot see Jeev in anybody. We see differences, which are the outside covering cast by each one's karma. The outside covering of the body is nothing but the karma phal. Because of the karma. We've seen what we just learned earlier today. But Approach Jnani cuts through all that, and he sees the Jeev, which he finds every Jeev is same. There is no difference. Jeev Sarup, which has pervaded the entire body, he sees it. He is Samadarshina. He does see how each one is in bondage. He sees everybody's karma lap. He sees everybody how they are in the bondage. He knows. He sees his bondage, he sees others too. And he sees everybody is same. So, he have Tarjita Sargo Yesh Samya Sthiti Mana. This is 19th shlok, in which
Ihaiva tairjita sargo yesham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmat brahmani te sthitaha.
step by step, slowly traveling on the path of Karma Yoga, this person has come near Paramatma. Remember we talked about Jnani getting to Paramatma right away, quickly. Karma Yogi, he takes his time, but step by step he is getting closer and closer. And now he has come close to Paramatma. There is a saying that to collect the money, one needs to do it penny at a time. Right? And to learn, you got to learn every day, little bit at a time. It's nothing that you can just learn everything in one day and you say, I'll learn everything. No. You have to learn slowly, step by step. So Karma Yogi, over several lives, cultivates and accumulates gun and gets jnana. So he's learning, every life he's learning something every day. That's why it is said you must study the jnana every day. You don't let go of any one day. You have to continue every day. So how does he live? Nirdosham. He is samam brahma. Because the perfect or the nirdosh Shakti of Brahma is now working in him. Because he sees Parameshwar, so that Parameshwar, which is Nirdosh Brahma, his Shakti is working in him. He needs nothing from this sansar. He doesn't need to eat or do anything. So, he is supported by the Shakti of Brahma. Tasmad Brahmani te sthita. Therefore, know these jnani to be situated in Brahma. So what happens to them? You have Tarjita Sargo. People say that one gets moksha after leaving this body. That's what people believe, right? it is not so in his case. He has conquered the sansar. Sargo means sansar. He has conquered the Srishti. Here, right here and now, while he got the Gyan, approach Gyan, he has conquered the sansar. They need not take another body. He does not have to take another body, so he doesn't have to die. They have attained the state of Brahm right here in this body itself. And who are these? These are those Jeev whose mind, they are those Jeev whose mind or the man is situated in Paramatma. The mind is not anywhere else. It's totally situated in Parameshwar. The Brahma, which is Nirdosh, has no imperfection. Ishwar has no imperfection. Thus, they are situated in equanimity, samatvam. They are samatva. They see everyone as same. Tasmad brahmani te sthita. Therefore, they are situated in Brahm. The word Brahm is used for Ishwar Gyan, Ishwar Gyan, and also Vedas. Here the meaning is that they are situated in Ishwar Gyan. It is their support system. The Gyan is their support system. So we saw how following the Karma Yoga, one can attain the state of Brahma and live in Ishwar Gyan right here in his own body. Next, Bhagavan tells Arjuna as to what is the difference between the Jnani and the ordinary person, which we will take next time. So here what we have seen, in this chapter Bhagavan, in the 4th chapter Bhagavan said, Gyan Karma Sannyas. You need Gyan to get away from Karma, to do Karma Sannyas. You have to have Gyan. In this chapter Bhagavan is telling how to do that, how it happens to you. Karma Sannyas. You got the Gyan, now how you do Karma Sannyas, how you leave the Karma. When you leave the Karma, you get this Gyan, Aparoksh Gyan, that stage. You don't need anything. You have left everything. Whatever your past karmas are, you finish them off. And you move on towards moksha. This person right now in this shlok, he is not in moksha yet. He is still in the sansar, but he has got higher level of jnana where he can cleanse himself and move on to the next level. Sri Krishna. Namaste.